We are live! Woo! My voice already cracked. Welcome to the Whine No Whine Show Artist Edition. We have a great panel of guests here today. We're teaching America how to civilly disagree one glass of wine at a time. And we're actually going to start real quick into the intros. We have musicians, artists, as usual. My name is Chris, your host. And I got Joe behind doing his thing on the camera. That's the other part of the show. If you don't tune in Fridays, make sure you tune in on a Friday. Today we got identification. So what are the limits that we can identify as humans versus, not versus, but towards the government or towards when you go to apply for grants? Or please help me out here, y'all. The wine's already flowing. So what are the limits you can personally identify as? Can you be a different race? Can you be a different gender? So we're going to be talking about that today, and it's going to be a hell of a show. The first part of this was pretty crazy in a briefing room, so we're going to see how this goes. But first we're going to start out with the shameless plugs, and we're going to introduce ourselves. So guys, everybody, going to make sure you drop your social media and how to get a hold of you. And we're going to start over on this side, if that's all right.
Hi, I'm Corazon Rodriguez, and everybody calls me Cora. It's a pleasure to be here and try to find a common ground.
Yeah. So what do you do?
I am a visual artist, as also I make some music. I'm just messing around with music. I play with every media pretty much, and I really like to explore a way to connect with others. So this is kind of very interesting.
Yes, this is very interesting.
Because I like to explore it in a nice and not too nice way.
Yeah, that's why the wine's here, you know. So we're going to move straight to the left here. Go right ahead.
My name is William Lloyd. I'm a visual artist. Actually, here's a piece of my work right here. Yeah, we'll just...
Yeah!
But, that's what I do as far as in the art world. However, me and my wife just started a new venture, and it's Nectar Cafe. It's actually what our logo looks like, if you can see that.
Oh, awesome.
So, but it's a coffee shop. We're the only people in the Humble area that have nitro coffee. On top of that, we have an awesome selection of waffles with all sorts of different batters, including gluten-free waffles.
No.
And then on top, of course, we got waffles and chicken.
Yes,
we got waffles
and steak,
because it's Texas.
So
yeah, we definitely have waffles and steak, all sorts of stuff. Our biggest seller is actually waffle with the gigantic, half pound of bacon on top of it. So
that's what I'm gonna go for when I go visit.
Yeah, plus it has a maple bacon drizzle, and then we also have ice cream, which our ice cream's put together as a liquid in front of you, and then flash frozen.
Where can we find you on your art stuff?
So for my art stuff, basically just go online, hit anywhere. William Lloyd. I spell Lloyd with one L. So I'm pretty easy to find in that regard. So you can type in artist William Lloyd on Instagram or just William Lloyd on Google, and frickin' you'll find me.
All right, cool. We're gonna keep on moving this one forward. If you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I don't want to cut you off.
No.
Go ahead.
Hi there. Janice Frillman. My fans all know me as Fiddle Chick, so lots of people.
Fiddles down there.
Lots of people follow me. Currently, right now, I am the fiddle player for William Ward, who's to my left. He's a good old country boy, but he's got a voice that booms off the top of the ceiling, and you'll get to hear that in a little bit when we do a tune for you.
Turn the mic down a little bit.
There you go. Your turn. Your turn.
I am William Ward, as said before, and I'm a country musician, Texas music musician, right here, local fan of everybody here, and the artwork back here says it all. We got a lot of good folks in the house. And we are actually coming out with a new album with Studio 249 Media, and we're here pushing that along as hanging out with these good folks. So
where can we get your album?
Well, you can get it as soon as it comes out.
Oh,
find me on William Ward and the Co-Conspirators on Facebook, and we love to share everything.
Co-conspirators,
We're actually,
I love that.
the part that he didn't say is we're going into the studio on Saturday.
Right.
So it's going to be, it'll drop really fast.
With Mr. Steve Tankersley.
Yes.
Pretty awesome
Steve
fellow he is.
Tankersley, yes.
So.
That's exciting. That's
Yep.
exciting. Did you actually share how to get a hold of you?
No, my webpage is corazonrodriguez.com, which is CORAZO, and it's my name. That means heart in Spanish. And Rodriguez, which is one of the most common
He's got it.
surnames
He's
in
got it. It's
Mexico.
all to be posted
and
for y'all.
altogether.com. That is my website.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Cool.
.com.
All right. Well, you guys know me. I'm Chris Minnemeyer. I'm part of Texas Music and Art. We host the artist edition of the Whine No Whine Show. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. And we got a .com. Also, my art is Art CM Life, and I'm a commissioned artist and I have a bunch of pieces I'll probably show because I just got done with a couple. Look, I still got paint on me. It's been a long day for me, but actually we're going to start into our topic. So I'm kind of going to do a bullet point of kind of where you stand. That way everybody kind of understands where you stand for this topic. And so the topic would be, is there a limit to how we can identify as humans, how we identify and others must accept. So that's a hard one to get out. Is there a limit to what others should accept as our own identity? So when you identify as a trans or maybe a different race, what is the limit to it? What should we accept? So I'm going to start on this side this time.
No, you're not.
All right. So I can start with you, Janice. If you
Oh my gosh.
I can start.
I got a feel.
Guests, please comment. This is going to be a great show. Comment, change the course of this conversation.
In case our viewers haven't figured out yet, I don't have a southern accent. I'm a Yankee girl from Wisconsin. So I tend to have a liberal viewpoint. I'm very much, my center is music brings everyone together. It doesn't matter what color you are, what sex you are, what you believe, what you don't believe. Music is a common thread. Art is a common thread for everybody. And I try and instill that in all of the students that I teach and everywhere where I go play. And I cross so many lines myself because I'm doing classical, I do country, I play with rock bands, you name it, I've done it. And can't forget my Celtic musicians out there, otherwise they're going to kill me. So
Shout 'em out.
It's music is a way, and art is a way, and literature is a way that people can come together and try and understand someone else that they may not normally meet in their everyday life. Now, for someone from the north to say that in Texas is kind of scary because you can't say that in most company. And you have to kind of keep those viewpoints kind of hidden, and
Not around me, though.
and my singer songwriter here, who I hope he's still gonna let me play fiddle with him afterwards, is he comes from a different viewpoint, but the thing that brings the two of us together is that we respect each other musically on an artist level, and he loves me too. So that kind of helps, but it only takes one little thing to help you start to get to know. So say like you're at a concert and you're in a group of big people, like if you're standing on a floor and you're just listening to the group up on stage, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to start talking to the person next to you. You don't know who they are, what their background is, what they are, what they believe, but you're going to come together because you guys are sharing an experience at that point in time.
So it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter what you identify as.
No.
To you, just do you.
Just do you.
All right. So, William.
Okay, I'll be devil's advocate.
We need one next.
Right. That being said, there's other side of the spectrum, I guess, is you won't always identify with another person. There's people that you meet, you automatically just want to buy them a toaster for their hot tub, right? And you know, how to identify.
Oh, man.
And that doesn't matter if
Where do
you're
I ship it
transgender,
to,
transracial, whatever. But I don't think that's a problem with America today is we don't find enough things where everybody has a common ground. And that's why I like shows like this, and I like hanging out with
That's
other
why we
people.
do shows like this.
You know, it's bring people together on a common ground, which we've gotten away from in America, I think. You know, as Americans, things that bring us together is war or hate, and
They shouldn't.
and it shouldn't be that way.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
That was a
it should be
truth
our
bomb,
children, our schools. You know, to better ourselves as a.
I agree. I
as a
completely
nation,
agree
right?
that we
So-
could do better.
But there ought to be stipulations on how far you can go to self-identify. To me, I mean, you can't change yourself in your own mind and expect everybody else in the world to identify you as that.
So
Right?
yeah,
And that's just
reality
me.
versus
yes,
what's
reality
inside you.
versus what you wish or maybe dream that it could be, right?
You can make a
And
point.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
You know, but that being said,
We'll move it over
Moving
to
on.
the all the way on the other side. Go ahead.
Okay, well, my opinion is I identify myself as a human being, number one. Number two, I do not hide my feelings to anyone because I think that it is important to be yourself by being yourself. Number three, I think that everyone has the right to do whatever the heck they want, and if someone just can't respect it, it's just someone that has zero tolerance, and they might have some psychological issues that needs to be addressed. That's pretty much it. I think that we all are perfectly imperfect, and that's perfect.
Oh, I love that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move over to you, Will.
Well,
William.
so
Two Williams today.
I hate to declare myself probably the most enlightened here on the subject, but my wife is transgender. My wife has actually changed a lot of laws in Texas for transgender people. And, you know, needless to say, as far as where I come from, I'm a big advocate for people, you know, opening up their dating pool to include transgender people, which literally nobody that I know, that I bump into, that I see on a regular basis says. But to me, you know, I look at it as this way. My personal experience has been, you know, really badass with my wife. I was 100% single father with 100% custody, working offshore on oil rigs, you know, and I met a badass chick who you would never know is transgender.
The fingers are flying
No,
already.
here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm just saying you would never know, you know, because she does have passing privilege, which not all transgender people have.
Right.
And, you know,
And I don't
that
know.
goes into what you were saying about you don't know who's what. You know, and unfortunately, when somebody has passing privilege, you know, they get away with a lot more than people that don't have that same privilege, and that hurts. You know, because, you know, when you talk about acceptance and things of that nature, you know, what I look at as legal constrictions, which, you know, include like housing being denied, you know, somebody transitions, they lose their job, things of that nature. So
Yeah, that's
You know,
a
there's a
real
whole
fact
bunch
of
there.
life. Yeah, I didn't even think about
it's a
that.
real fact of life.
Right, and so like, viewers, what is the limit to what you can identify, or what others should accept that you identify, or that somebody identifies as? Like, can I identify as an NBA player and everybody needs to play along that I can dunk? I mean,
In your head when
I'm
you're shooting hoops
I'm
in your
5'7",
backyard.
yeah, I can hook shot into the
But
garden.
That's kind of different.
Well, that's kind of the
Yeah.
point of what we're talking about.
I mean-
Where is the limit? Is it the limit gender? Is the limit race? Is the limit occupation? But please go ahead.
I mean, if it's an occupational purpose, like if you cannot do the job, why you say, you know, I mean, I can say I am a movie director and I cannot just pull the job out, you know, and that would be really dumb. Yeah, I have the right to say whatever I want, but I mean,
kinda
I look like a dumbass,
I
you
have
know?
a rebuttal to that. Truly, if someone says that they're Native American on a college application, they are, you know, that much more likely to get a scholarship. So, where's the line there? Is the government?
But the government set up who's a Native American, so the government is the one who is resetting these stereotypes. It's the government, the one who is deciding who has the right, who doesn't have the right.
If I can
It's
raise
a
my
minority,
hand
it's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
minority.
and say one thing while we're
Viewers,
talking
comment,
about
chime in.
while we're
Go
talking
ahead.
about trans issues, whether it's transracial or transgender, it's important not to conflate them all into
Absolutely.
one big thing, because definitely it's very important to point out that, you know, transracial and transgender are two complete different things, two complete different topics. And
that's kind of where we're setting a limit
so
today. We're trying to find a limit to where you can set. Go ahead, William.
And the government has to set limits as far as transgender or transracial due to the fact that they give grants and money to these people for these races, right? So if you're transracial, you're receiving money and you're not even in that race. Yes, the government becomes accountable because that's our taxpayers' money that we're paying to people.
That also falls
we're
into
not even in that race.
That's sexual identity. That's not a race.
No, I'm talking about transracial.
Yeah.
One at a time. So cool.
So
we got this.
if the government is paying these people grants and money for being a certain race, yes, you're going to have to prove to them, okay, you're Filipino, well, you don't even speak
your
Filipino.
heritage.
Right.
Your heritage. You got to prove your heritage. Because that's why you have that grant, is because of your heritage.
And as somebody on the opposite side of the coin, I'll say I agree with you on that.
But that supports the cultural background too.
Like, it's also on
some people care about their cultural background.
And that's kind of my point when it comes to the human race.
Going into a cause that they felt that they were doing the right thing for this certain race. Well, now we have other people jumping races to chime in on that and collect that?
At a point, if I was raised by a Filipino family, at some point, do I see myself as Filipino at all?
Ooh, well, now that's different.
Bam! I'm sorry.
I mean,
but okay, you all said that.
That's a good point.
I adopted a Vietnamese girl, so I mean,
that's a good point.
There's
a difference in respect.
So what's the difference then? What's the difference? Okay, so between transgender and transracial, where's the difference lie? Is it?
Well, I'd say that there's a huge scientific difference because when you look at the chromosomal aspect of transgender people, which I will like to point out that scientifically speaking, chromosomes are in transgender people's corner. Most transgender people don't know that they're actually intersexed. And then on top of that,
I don't even know that term. I'm sorry, intersex.
Well, intersex is it's looked at as a chromosomal, not to use a negative word, but abnormality.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a medical professional.
Where me and your chromosomes might match up perfect. Somebody's chromosomes, might not match up perfect. And they might have a funky finger
There's
of
a
the
word
deal,
for that,
or
right?
they could have a birth defect that could be. No, not at all.
No, that's a chromosomal problem, right?
That would be also a chromosomal problem. But
that's the one. I'm not saying that's it.
I'm
saying that's what my brain refers to.
We're just also starting to be able to read into deeper codes on chromosomal patterns. But a lot of people realize, that a lot of people that are transgender, they realize that there is actual chromosomal, reasons as to why they are who they are.
When you say chromosomal, does that rule out that there's hormonal or
problem?
No,
or
it's
even
right
chemical imbalances that may
line.
Cause that kind of thing?
It's right in line. And then there's also brain scans that have proven a lot to that a transgender woman's brain scan comes up the same as Cora's or.
Yes.
Well, no, I'm thinking of the fiddle chick.
Janice.
What's your name?
Janice doesn't matter.
I have confused brain scan, and
just like say you were a transgender man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got no clue what's in between your legs. You know what I'm saying?
Let's think about
and
this.
I know a lot of dudes that are transgender dudes are some freaking gym rats, bro.
Right.
And they got way more right here than I got. I can promise you that.
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. Brain scans are going to show the same as me and your brain scans are going to. Where Cora's isn't
as
going
far
to.
as brain scans go, what if it was a transgender woman, right? She thinks she's
Yeah.
Don't let me think, but
was born something and identifies
and then she
as
was
something
raised by women, so therefore she thinks like that.
And I will acknowledge you too.
Right.
If I can say one thing, playing the other side of the coin, you are at least very respectful in trying to word things correctly, and I think that's important.
I don't know.
I got warned about him. I'm just saying.
So no. The difference is,
I know those guys.
He might not see things the way that I do, but I don't know. Can I cuss? Can I say a-hole? He's not.
Keep it PG.
He's not
17, 18.
He's not being an a-hole. And that's awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. So we're
clickable moment. Yeah.
Okay, so we're pointing out a medical issue. Okay, what about people with crisis identities? What about these people that have mental crisis identities and they have a medical reason why they don't want to be who they are? They don't
Or
have
they
the
have
right to
three
do it.
reasons why they want to be three different people.
No, but I'm trying to say, like, there's okay, I understand that medical reason, but there's people with crisis identity living out there every day. They become who they want to be, and I have the right, and they have the right to respect them. And that's that simple.
I agree with that, but should the government have a play in that? I mean,
The government has a plan.
They already do. So, but by allowing people to go that extra step and identify, you are now letting the government have another play in another aspect of our lives because, right, this is going to change. It's going to change laws. If you change laws that way, it's going to change laws the other way.
Well, we're
You know what I
giving
mean?
them the right when we're paying taxes already. Like, let's just.
What
be
if you're
honest.
actually suffering from mental disorder of delusion? Should we accept their delusion mind frame rather than treat them?
Well, the government doesn't like treatment. It's too expensive.
Yeah.
So that's that.
Well, but should we though? I mean,
We should respect everyone's identity, no matter what. No
You-
matter
but
what.
what if
I would
What
say,
if they-
especially if it's not
It's a
hurting
basic
anybody
human
else.
right.
That's the thing.
Hey,
that's the part
If
of
it
it.
takes
It's
food
not
out of
hurting
my
us.
children's
I
mouth,
understand
that
that part.
becomes the point where, hey, I got to step in, and the government needs to
And
do
I'll
something.
agree with you on that, dude.
Right.
But if, like I
Exactly.
said, I understand that part.
I'll
If it's
agree
not
with you on
hurting
that.
anyone,
If it- yeah.
they have the right
But I guess-
to do
but
what
what-
they
yeah,
do.
If there's,
what I'm
if there's a
saying.
direct victim, then then that's
what if the
an
victim
addressable
is
issue.
them? What if I'm the victim and I identify because I have bipolar schizophrenia, and I identify as three people, and so now should the doctor say, "Oh, great, you get to have 3 grants," or should they say, "Hey, maybe you should take some lithium"?
I have several friends that are bipolar.
I am
And-
myself.
And because I've known them for so long, you see a marked difference in their personalities when they're with it and when they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll all go, well, you're not bipolar, you're just a country singer.
And there it was.
But
Barely even
This-
makes the man
it's-
category.
No, because it's up here in legend category.
see, I'm losing my job already. I told you it would happen by the end of the night.
I think that's a great comment to lead into y'all
Alrighty.
playing some music.
Okay.
I was just having fun with
Do you
you.
want to switch
I'm
places?
just going to be a country singer.
Yep.
That's right. That's a great comment to lead into that.
Good.
Awesome.
Move
So,
over a chair. I need room.
oh, she needs more room.
Yeah.
I get it. We're gonna do a little Chinese fire drill real quick so we can get everybody involved.
Hey, y'all can have some more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, why
Yeah.
it's gotta be Chinese, man?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I identify that way, so don't.
Shay Shay.
All right.
Guess it finally rained down to 85. Met the fish and biting friend down by the riverside. Only place made colder here in the middle of June. And a string of strangers, man, brought by the summer's moon. Brother moved to Houston, most my friends stayed gone. Need to pay my taxes, man, I like to mow my lawn. Got a homeless habit, being fine wherever I am. Way this water's rising, boys, get up above the dam. I'm rolling up north where I paid my dues. Not the answer's Austin, boy. Yeah, for the old Comal County blues. in my ashtray. I'm taking on a roll. At my Riley's Tavern, friend, my liquor loves the flow. Skip around St. Marcus, stopping till Doug hello. Second year convict, license take it slow. Tonight I'm rolling up north, where I paid my dues. Not the answers I'll start, friend. Yeah, for the old Comal County blood. One here right beside me, she's been here through it all. Stumble in the darkness, man, bet your ass I'd fall. Carry me back home, down a Texas road I roam. Here for the old Comal County blood. Tonight I'm rolling up north, where I paid my dues. Not the answers, Austin boys. Yeah, for the old Comal County blues. What I got to lose.
Oh,
Right on.
right.
Hey,
That was amazing.
Hey.
It's hot in here, man.
Yeah, it is
All right,
warm.
I need to get you a heck
Wine, man. It's wine.
Another non-wine drinker in the house. Like, that's why I always flip the
All
hat.
good.
Hey, so we're gonna review some of our viewer comments real quick. We're gonna address y'all and
Cool.
bring y'all, bring y'all into the
Yeah.
conversation. I
I'm really
appreciate all those
Where my
comments.
people at?
I'm gonna wait for my my guy back here to go ahead and highlight one for me to just say. All right, so Paul, welcome, welcome Paul Murray and Lisa Hilton. Thank you. Paul says waffles and bacon. Yeah. Check out the Nectar Cafe, right? Yeah, some waffles and bacon. Yeah, I had some this morning, but I guarantee it wasn't as good as those.
Westlake, Houston, 1960.
Heck yeah. Oh, I'm
So
going
if
over.
you're- if
Is it
you're-
open after this?
It'll be up until 9.
All right.
I love you, Stephanie. I see you up there.
All right, yeah. Jim Palmer, thank you for joining us. Steffi Olson, thank you. I appreciate it. Scott, Scott, thank you for joining us. Esther? How do you say that?
Esther.
Esther and Net, thank you for
Yes.
joining us. Neil Tatum, thank you. Nelly, maybe. Trying. Daniel Young, thank you for joining us. And Michelle Boren, oh, there's a hard one up there at the top. Mike Baker, thank you for joining us. I appreciate all your comments. We're going to try to get to some of them here soon. H. Scott says, I think there is no limit. The public doesn't have to accept anything. The public only has to do you no physical harm. On top of that, it's
Word.
a bonus to treat people generally with respect and not be an ass.
Yeah.
I'm
there we
Not
go.
be an a-hole. It almost came out.
And just,
I think you're right,
just to
though.
point it out, dude on the other side of the coin even said absolutely. So you know,
Absolutely.
that's one beautiful thing about, you know, how old are you anyways?
No,
33.
Toledo.
See, I'm
Welcome.
38.
I
I think-
identify myself as a Christian, which means I don't care what you are. I love every one of you. Now, my opinion on the matter may be different than the love
Yeah.
I feel.
But the
Right?
Yeah.
I can't
My
agree.
opinion-
with
nice
every
thing is
two.
that you agree that nobody
But-
should be harmed.
Exactly.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
There's
And
no
that's-
need to bring
If you say
That's
that you should
impressive.
harm
That's
people,
anything else.
I'm
That's
not-
important.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That's not what the show's about.
Right.
Toledo, I'm sorry, Noah Toledo says, that's my boy William Lloyd.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Hunter Hugh. Maybe that's how you say your last name.
Hogue.
Hogue. Hunter Hogue. Hey, you were on the show last week or a couple weeks ago. I said it will benefit you from financially or can be used for fraud if it should not be allowed. I see your point. I do see a point in saying that, hey, you know, look, I want a scholarship, but I want some preschool.
Well, nobody.
I mean, I want a grant.
Nobody should have anything to do with fraud.
My mom said
fraud should always be addressed as a legal issue.
Well, my mom told me
Always.
I was Native American, and then we had a blood test done, and turns out we are not Native American.
It happens more often than you might imagine.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
it's very common.
Well,
Believe
you know,
it or
we
not,
forget-
too, the milkman was doing his.
Because
That's
we
an ongoing joke with my family because I got dark skin, nobody else does.
No, but-
And we live in California, right?
This is not about the skin color. This is about cultural background.
I've
And
seen
we
the-
forget that we have a lot of people that are.
Hold on,
native.
Chris is from the
Go
people
on,
side.
no. I'm not gonna address that comment.
Well, I'm from the native Smurfs,
Welcome. We just got a piece of
Oh, I'm running a little wine over here.
Oh, we had to pass a wine glass to my bottles I got were too big to bring on the set. Whoops.
He's got
Got
one.
me sweating in
He's
here.
got one.
Yeah, no, I sweat it every
I got
time,
one.
man. It gets
He's
warm
got
in here. So what? That's better than a.
Oh,
man.
no.
I'm trying not to read these comments. All right. Okay.
wow.
It's better than
I love
Slapaho Tribe. Yes, it is. All right.
Well, would you rather Pimple or Slapaho?
I think it goes hand in hand.
Well, exactly.
There's a joke there somewhere, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm interested in Noah right here. Hold on, go back up. Noah right
No,
there.
what's he say?
Thanks for providing that info. William.
Ah,
A lot of people don't know. I did not know.
No, and see, and that's a big thing. That's a big thing, especially when you're talking about transgender issues. Is that a lot of times, you know, science is actually, you know, it in the fold. You know, people like to say it like, oh, well, what do your chromosomes say?
no, exactly.
Have we had chromosomes test? Have you ever had a chromosome test?
Ooh, I'd
neither.
probably be retarded.
Another great time for another great day.
I never have either, but I guarantee you, if a transgender person has a chromosomal test or a brain scan,
Right.
they're gonna be like, well, that explains a fucking lot. Or, that explains a lot.
I have an F-bomb painting to show you later. Okay,
You know,
so,
but it-
hey, Scott, I'm going to just one more comment here. Scott, okay, another thing you have to understand there is two sides. Who is equally united to be respected and accepted? I'm sorry.
Untitled.
Untitled.
I'm sorry. Untitled to be respected. Untitled. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. We often phrase this issue as to why Joe Average needs to be respect. Woo, the wine. Says Sally transgender. I'm sorry. Someone else read this. This is kicking my ass right here. Please.
But why do we never talk about how Sally needs to accept, respect that Joe's average who has a different belief system? Whether you think that is right or wrong, sometimes the way you show mutual respect is allowing people the right to believe how they want to believe.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry. My dyslexia
So,
and
as
reading
what
and
he's
talking
saying,
is
as
hard.
somebody who is a transgender advocate,
Yeah.
he's saying basically don't push it on Joe Average, right?
You know, and it shouldn't be. It
But it's
shouldn't
just
be
like
that way.
that's
religion
just,
or
you know.
anything else.
You know, I-
But it's extreme on every end. You know what I mean? You have those that do, you know that, as well as
yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
then you
yeah.
have those on the
Yeah.
other end who are like, hell no.
Yeah,
You know, the Bible
trust me,
says...
as you as a
and I will
self-declared
say-
Christian that said that
Right.
nobody should be harmed.
Right, and I
I
will
know
say
there's got to be
nothing about
times that you're just
transgender
like,
in the
y'all
Bible.
stop it, chill out.
Right, exactly. Just
You know?
slow the roll.
But
You're not hurting anybody. It shouldn't matter.
yeah, you're not hurting any.
Mutually
See, and that's-
respect the Christian's view as much as the Christians should respect
I'm
yours.
gonna tell people right now, no matter how you stand on the issues, y'all should probably talk like the Wills in this room.
Right.
Ah,
Yeah,
good.
boy.
Oh my
We'll write a
goodness.
song.
We're both looking different, you know, but at the same, we're both looking at things different, but at the same time, you know, neither one of us
Civilly.
have crossed any boundaries of disrespecting
You know what?
I
anybody.
think
Which
it's
is
more
so
of
funny.
an uneducation on both parts. You don't know my world, I don't know yours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's-
where people are getting
That's
it
a
wrong.
big deal. That's a big deal.
And you know what? I really want to address him because like I'm not trying to call you out, but
No.
we were outside smoking a cigarette before this, and he says to me, that you were the closest he's ever been to someone who has an affiliation with somebody.
And that's
And that's
the
a,
truth.
but time out, because that's a big deal. That's a big deal because, you know, Typically, you know, when we know somebody, we respect them. You know, when we and people, and that's important for transgender people.
But we don't know,
everybody in the LGBT community to come out and say who they are.
And that's
because
just
when
it.
you declare who you are respected. And I'm with the transgender woman. I happily advocate for people.
And that's where my respect for
be.
you came. Is look,
And that's a big deal.
This is what he's about. This is what he's saying. This is where he's at. Now,
Yeah.
a lot of people are going to take it
I'm gonna
as
bring you guys in here.
behind closed doors. They don't know people.
right.
So they say, well, this is how I'm going to do it. This is what I would think about it. But they don't know anybody with that problem or have met anybody with that affiliation.
Real quick, I'm gonna address Noah's last comment here. It says, I'll assume you'll be bringing up people like Rachel Dolezal.
Is that the
And, and those who falsely
She identified as
falsify their ethnic background or identify as transracial. I'm a trans guy who is deeply concerned that those false identities serving
Thank
to
you,
invalid
Noah.
our identity as
Thank you,
transgender
Noah.
people.
Yes.
I kind of see your point there. I mean, to validate one, do you have to validate the other?
It's
Where's the
pretty
line?
much taking the transgender as a step stool and using what you want.
Well, you can't conflate the two. I mean, they're just not. They're,
So that's
they're not
fine.
on the same paradigm.
I think we've all come to agreement.
I
The
think
line is gender. I'm sorry.
I think this is like saying somebody comes over and say, well, I'm an artist, and I said, no, you're not, because you don't do the things like I do.
That's so funny.
So that's kind of ridiculous, you know, because I am presetting who is an artist. So if I am forcing my point of view on anyone, I am just making a title of the reality, and nobody owns reality.
Yeah, right. So like, is it your reality or mine?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a real good point.
Why not sharing it?
Transracial is not a reality. It's
their
a made-up
reality.
thing.
It's their reality.
Well,
Well,
see,
you have
but just like
scientific,
transgender.
provenly.
There is,
You have a scientific thing proven by
how is race
proven to me
determined?
by race.
Isn't
See,
race
but
determined
I don't
by
know
DNA
much about
like sex?
transracial either, so I can't really.
But, I mean, it's, I
It
got
is
my blood
actually-
drawn. They
it is
told me
actually-
that I'm 35% Irish, that I'm this percent this percent.
But there's no
I'm a big
study
mutt.
as far-
But like they've told me that from my blood. I mean,
Exactly.
can they tell you? Do you think they'll be able to tell you soon
Yes.
that you're
But you can't
not
switch your blood,
supposed to
right?
be having a penis? Like, you know what I mean?
can't.
Like,
Well,
like,
I think
That goes
that's
back to the
Sexual
chromosomes.
preference. The
I
word
think that
says it.
goes to a lot different issue, as you know, your blood's going to probably read different than a chromosome test, which you know is going to read different than your brain scans will. You know, and
so
I
okay,
think
your
that at some
chromosome.
point,
point-
I'm a little vague on this. So
If your blood tells me
your
you're Filipino, you're
chromosomes
Filipino.
make up your DNA.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Yes.
So your chromosomes make up your DNA. So is that all your DNA? I'm not really sure. So please help me out if you know
I'm
anything
backing
about
off
this.
this one.
Yeah, I know that chromosomes make up DNA. I don't know any more about that. But if somebody wants to Google it out there, that would be cool.
Noah.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, so if like I said, I would like to address where you're at in this, because I want to bring you guys into this.
it's-
We've been talking back and forth.
Right.
And I actually come at it
Ladies,
probably
not guys.
from a totally different standpoint. When I was going to middle school, that was, you know, end of the 70s, and there was a gentleman in my choir, and because I had already been around music for quite a while, I pulled him aside one day, and I asked him, I said, are you gay? I wanted to know, because that's how he presented himself, and he was comfortable enough to tell me. But when we went through high school and then we went to college together, that was in a time frame before all of this kind of came out and open, and he ended up committing suicide. And unfortunately, it was because he was bullied. So now we're in this same kind of environment again. And society is very secular. If you think of it as a big circle, every 20 years, I mean, most women know, every 20 years, a fashion statement changes. So like in the 80s, there was bell bottoms. Well, guess what's back again? Bell bottoms.
And the fur boots.
Right. And everything that goes with it. But along with that fashion statement also comes those viewpoints.
Oh.
And they kind of
art shapes our culture.
Yes, it kind of goes. There you go, Will.
I love
So
it. Art and
it's-
music, of course.
So it's just kind of that way, and because of the types of music and the types of people that have inspired me to do all of that, I go across so many different genres of music that you have to be tolerant and accepting of all. And that's the type of household I was raised in. Now my dad was a number one racist, okay? But he also loved music, and he loved music from everywhere. And my mom, Scottish, grew up in a household that accepted everybody. So, I mean, on any given day when we were growing up, we could be listening to Ravi Shankar, the Beach Boys, and, you know, some Mahler symphony, all in one day. So that's the type of environment I grew up in. So that gets you back to the whole thing, nature versus nurture. You know, is it the environment that you grew up in, or was it nurtured to be, and that's what you become?
That is a great comment.
So
I completely agree with that.
I'm so out there with the wacky thinking, which is why I have such
I think
a...
you're right on the money. I really do, because truly, the only thing it hurts in your immediate area is yourself if you don't identify as what you identify as, right?
Yeah,
Like, so if I identify as a female and I live my whole life acting like a male, the only person that hurt
Is you.
is me.
Is you.
And in my life, and I have one of those.
Yeah.
So, I mean, see, where it comes to my belief, just personally, is when the government steps in and starts giving out funded money, then we need to set some boundaries.
But wait,
But
wanna
I think the boundary should be the government has no
No
freaking
control.
control of it.
Thank you.
But that's me. Like,
well, but when
That's
you're
me too.
paying your taxes, you pay taxes, right?
yes, I do.
Who's going to control the money you put in?
Every so often, you know.
Who's going to pay? Who controls the money that you put
Okay.
in?
Well, it depends on what I put on my. I guess me, because I
Okay,
put it on my
so
W-9, right?
Okay, let's say you own a bank account, right?
Or my
And
W-2.
this said bank account gives money to African Americans, it gives money to Filipinos, it gives money to Mexicans, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, how would you feel if they're giving your money away to somebody who said they were Mexican but were not actually Mexican?
But how would I know that?
Okay,
I'm
I
just
just
saying.
want to make
Well,
a
I
point.
understand your point. I do. I
Right.
get your point. But at the same time, I want to hear yours.
Okay. I think that a point of view is not a trend. A point of view is the information that it's implanted in your brain since you were born.
Oh, yeah.
And sadly,
Mostly by the
we
government.
all have different points
Oh, yeah.
of view
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of the software that was implanted in our brains.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this as a machine, as a system, okay? The system has created an issue, a big issue of separation. That's just a fact. There's no other reality about this. Nobody ever talks about the fact that we are just humans.
Right, yeah.
Nobody.
Like, okay,
They
can
like
we
to fight.
call
Because
this
no race
something
talks about
different?
that.
Can we
No
call
one race
we
talks
go,
about that.
we bring race
Period.
down to human,
Period,
and then we
period.
call
White, black
culture.
lives matter, white lives matter,
your
blah, blah,
culture
blah.
instead. I like
Okay,
that.
culture
But it
is very
it is time
important
for your
because your
song.
culture, it's your
Period.
background.
Right.
It's your
but I'd hate to
backbone.
pull someone and say, hey, look, I'm not from your culture, but I identify as your culture. And then I go in and
Well-
I don't know your culture, but I identify as it. So now I'm just kind of just. I mean,
But who
there's
worries
all the
about
way-
if we don't
But I
have
guess that
culture?
guy is a douchebag. Anyway. Excuse me, but like, what are you doing? Or the girl? It doesn't matter what they are.
But
But
look around you. All the cultural appropriation is around you.
It
There's
is.
Mexican restaurants owned by a lot of, Asians, white people.
Every Asian restaurant I've ever been to.
exploitation. This is an era of exploitation. It's not an era of identity, to be honest with you. Nobody is representing anyone's identity. If we really care about people's
Whoa.
identity, we will represent who we are.
Drops a bomb. Thank you. I'm sorry. Genotype versus phenotype, genetics versus physical appearance.
It's true.
Those are some big words I'd have to Google.
Well, but yeah.
But we do need to get on to the next performance, and then we'll have another shout out for your art here. And please, we have an accumpaniment for her performance.
This is Gio, my husband.
There you go. Awesome. Step into the frame. Let's make sure he's in frame. You want to slide over and we both can sit down? There you
Can you sit
go.
over here?
Okay.
Oh yeah, another
'Cause I
Chinese
need
fire
some
drill.
space.
Chinese fire.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so this is a song that goes very appropriate with the situation, and it talks about the system. Oops, sorry. rest. Your own life in my hands rest. And there's no way out. 'Cause you're resting now. And there's no way out. No way out. Sorry, the ukulele had a really bad accident. Sadly, I see that it had some water damage.
Oh, no.
I'm so sorry. It's sounding terrible. I don't know what happened to it.
Oh.
It's I noticed that, but there's nothing I can do about it right now.
That's
So,
okay. I
maybe
enjoyed
for
the
next
song. The
one,
tune was
It
there.
doesn't even sound like that. It was terrible. I'm sorry about that.
Hey,
We
I
do
think
know
you
that
did great.
happened.
I think you
Sorry
did
about
great.
that. Sorry, the ukulele is in really bad shape. But we'll get it fixed.
I love
I
it.
thought
No,
it
no,
was
it was
too.
bad, it was
But I
bad.
was listening to the words,
It's not in
and that
tune.
was way cool. I
And
really
I couldn't
enjoyed
even
it.
play
I'm
the
writing
whole
a
song.
song.
Sorry, honey.
Ukulele had an accident.
What was your name again, and how do we find your music?
Yes. Well, I make some music, but the thing is that my
Oh, your art.
ukulele is in really bad shape. But
Yeah. But where do we find you? Because that was the lyrics were there.
okay,
Everything was there.
It's not even it's not even part of it. But we are going to post some of the songs. Actually, I just wrote several
to?
new songs. Yeah.
Where to?
And in the same webpage that I
Oh,
have,
okay.
corazonrodriguez.com.
Wonderful,
And I also
wonderful.
have another website that it's for
I feel better. Or
like
mosaics.
yeah, mosaics.
Mosaics.
I make a lot of mosaics.
I love that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, mosaics. I make like
We
any
have a
kind
gallery.
of
We
sculpture,
should
any
show that
size,
stuff.
any. Yeah, he has some pictures with him.
Oh, wonderful.
Do you have it?
wonderful.
Got the pictures right over here.
Oh, well,
Okay.
we'll bring the pictures out later. We'll
Yeah.
talk about the pictures that way. You know, we'll post them up there in a
Yeah.
little while. Oh, you got them out. Oh, I thought they were on your
Yeah,
phone or
so-
something.
He's
I
already
thought they
had
were
you
on
do
your
it.
phone.
So pretty much,
man.
I made
Wow.
any kind of
Hey,
sculpture.
can I do this?
Hey, y'all
Any
check it
size.
You guys
out.
switch out
Good
for me. We're gonna
stuff.
switch back out.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Can we see this?
Good stuff.
All right. So this is some just amazing artwork here.
A lot of time. How long did it take you again to do that?
This project was
Oop.
like a whole area. It's like a small plaza.
Like a garden.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
a garden, and it took me
beautiful.
6 to 7 months to complete. I did it all by myself. Well, he helped me. He helped me some, but
Yeah.
I was like pretty
Now
much.
let me
you
ask
know.
you this: would you do other people's gardens for them?
Absolutely,
Oh, yeah.
I
There
do
you go.
any kind of commissions. I do kitchens,
Great work.
bathrooms.
Wow.
I make dragons in the bathrooms, in your showers, pretty much
Hey,
anything.
that was fun.
Showers.
Yes, in the
Can
shower.
I get a blonde on the back wall?
Yes, if you want that too.
Yeah.
I can make also portraits on mosaics
Thank
or
you.
paints or acrylics, anything
My
really.
girlfriend's gonna kill me.
Pretty much every media. And right now I'm having a problem with my ukulele. I'm super sad because I want to save it.
We're
It
sad
looks in bad
too.
shape.
We may be able to see it. I know a
was-
guy.
Yes.
I know a guy too.
So what we're gonna do, we're gonna
going
talk
back to
about the
something.
art behind me
Oh, yeah.
and William here.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have him do a shout out maybe for that Nectar Cafe one more time. But go right ahead, man.
So, well,
Is there a box?
Nectar Cafe is Nectar Cafe. Yeah, this is actually
And
Tell me
a
about
piece.
your art real quick.
Okay.
So, they were like, bring a piece of art. All my art's like huge. People that know my art, it's like, it
I
like
saw
starts
pictures.
off at like 6
it's
feet. and gets
entire
I thought you were
bars in
Superman. I
Midtown.
thought it was a piece of granite you brought in. With
Big.
bigger. No,
Big
but
pieces.
I did work. I did work on oil rigs for over a decade. So
man.
I got half a decade.
I got like
man.
this like
Yeah.
I got like this stupid ox strength that like.
Right, I'm a welder by trade, bro. So
Hey, man. Are we on oil fields?
Hey, man.
Oh,
Broke
man.
people
I'm a
make a living.
safety guy. I'm a safety guy.
Oh, no, you don't count.
That's why even though we look at things
They
different, we
hate.
can
They
still
hate. 'cause
agree and be
I was in the
close.
AC.
So what is your process?
What is
Tell
that?
us about your process.
Yes.
This is,
Yes.
this is actually, surprisingly, this is actually from a discarded piece from Hurricane Harvey. My neighborhood was decimated by Harvey. We live right on Lake Houston.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah.
I wish you guys could see it the way we see it.
Everybody.
It's just super
Beautiful.
deep, super
Beautiful
glossy. He does it as backdrops for bars. He does it as countertops. He does it as just pretty much anything you can.
Pretty much
desk,
anything you
whatever
can think
you
about
think,
painting, yeah.
and they are just
Speaking
all of
of
them
what,
are amazing.
come out to Nectar and check some out.
There's some of this cafe.
7576 FM 1960. It's at 1960 in Westlake, Houston.
Closes at 9 tonight.
I'm taking my country ass out there, so you better go.
Yeah, please do, because on another note, I would actually love you to meet my wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I can promise you, 2 seconds of talking to my wife.
Right on, man.
2 seconds of talking to my wife.
I'm not opposed
You
to
would
that,
you would actually be having this story of, well, I knew this transgender chick who's badass, this and that, and it
Always
goes
like
back
them
in.
stories. Yeah.
It goes back into the one thing that you had said when y'all were talking about, you just didn't know anybody.
We're gonna
and-
post it, Rock
And
out.
that's important too, But what else is important?
It kind of
is
changes
that
your outlook because you realize it's people. It's not
does
just
cha-
it's not
it
just a
does change
topic
your outlook.
anymore. It's actual people.
It does change your
You know what I
outlook,
mean?
and
It's different.
another thing that changes people's outlook. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're pretty much alpha male, dude. You know what I'm saying? And I mean,
Don't I know it?
I like that he roared when they
Here's the
told
deal,
him
here's the
that.
deal, here's the deal.
That is very
Here's the
alpha
deal.
male-like.
people with a platform, and people with a presence in a room. You know what I'm saying? When they're speaking on an issue, that's an important thing to have in your corner. And
Well, let me do this real quick. All you right-wing rednecks out there, give people a chance, man, because I'm telling you, it'll change your life if you just
That's
give them
what
a
the
chance
show's
to meet
about.
them. They're just normal people like us.
That's
man,
important.
really.
That's
I will say
important.
that about transgenders. I'm not going to say that about transracial.
All right, so Noah,
the jury's still
and
out,
on
right?
the
Ain't that one yet?
Noah, who's commented several times today, and I appreciate that, says that his input is simply that he is also Latino as well as transgenders earlier. If someone with 100% European blood suddenly said that they identified as transracial Latino, that would not only be wrong, but a slap in the face to the people of color who actually experience the racism and oppression on a daily basis. Now,
And this,
now,
I'd also
let
like
me
to say
finish
this comes
reading.
from somebody
Thank
who's a
you, Noah.
transgender
I
man.
love you, Noah.
now
This
there
comes
is a
from
white
somebody who's a
folk-
transgender
I
man.
don't care. I love him.
Awesome. I changed some views today.
See, we
here.
came to this, buddy. I'm
That's
telling
what
you.
this show is about. All right, so we're not gonna finish reading that, but okay. So where does science and physical reality separate from belief? Okay, so if your blood says you are 35% Scottish, but you feel Filipino, do you have to accept or do they have to accept your opinion over the reality of the fact that, hey, your bloodline says a certain thing, dude?
Well, you'll notice the fans are probably noticing that I have this big, beautiful pin on today because
beautiful pin.
it is St. Andrew's Day.
Well,
So anyone who is Scottish is going to know how important a day that is. So happy St. Andrew's Day to everybody.
yeah.
Salud, Saint Andrew.
I am 65% Scottish.
Oh.
So I kind of...
And
I
100%
always-
badass.
Thank you. So I will tell you, people will walk up to me, and like he just did, they'll do an Irish accent. Well, there's a difference.
Oh, very much. so.
It's very much
Hold
so.
on.
Celtic is Celtic, okay, but I'm a Highlander, so I take
Distinct
exception.
line in that island.
I-
I like
There
the
you go.
baby. My baby back, baby back, baby back.
Oh my God.
so,
digress.
so I take exception to when people say, "Oh, that's Irish." I'm like, "No, it is Scottish. There is a difference. There's a cultural and a heritage difference." And my clans actually fought at Clonowden.
What if I told you
So
that I am not any of that?
you're not any of that, and that's okay.
But I
love Braveheart.
But I love Braveheart so much that
love Braveheart
I
so
showed
much.
up to your function.
Okay.
Acting as if I was.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh!
I just
Yeah,
wanna-
but Braveheart has so much historical inaccuracies in it, and it's
That's all right.
it's
But
a
I
big
identify
thing.
with Braveheart.
It's
Like, I
Mel
am
Gibson.
bad
I will go
motherfucker.
with you there. But I don't take offense to that because it is
Yes,
it
that's a
gets
good
people to a chance to go and research and actually kind of look at those type of things. And culture is a big part of who you are.
Okay, so I understand you identify with your heritage.
Yes,
You-
I
you
identify
I
with my
love that.
heritage.
I think it's safe to
But-
say that you can have somebody
Hold on.
else's
I-
culture
I-
without
I-
having their
I
blood, too.
I also come from a background of my dad and my other side. When they went and did genealogy, I have a great great grandmother who is Indian. I also, my great-great-great-grandmother was the first woman to cross and make a land grab in Kansas at a time when that didn't happen.
But I guess what I'm
So-
saying is, if you weren't that, if you weren't Scottish,
Yeah.
but you identified as such,
Yeah.
do I have to accept that your reality is my reality now?
No. I'm not,
Whoa, wait a minute.
She was raised by a Scottish family.
yeah. But
And she just took a DNA test and found out that she wasn't Scottish.
Right, like I'm not Native American.
That's a little bit of a
You ever heard of
where
Black
does
Irish?
Bismarck start to
yes.
That's what I am.
Okay.
That's why I got
And
dark
that's
skin.
fine.
At least that's
And
what my
fine.
grandma says.
But the thing about it.
That said you're Native American?
Yeah, no. My mom said that.
But-
Okay.
But the thing about all of that is that yes, I identify with my Scottish roots. I've done the genealogy. I've done all the work that
I think
goes
you have
into
the
that.
right.
So I have a right to be proud of my
If you
heritage.
identified as
Now,
Scottish,
what if
I'm
I
telling you
were?
that.
What if I were
Okay.
German?
Take your 18
and then I
shamrocks
wanted to
to
be
shove them.
Scottish.
Please.
Do I get the same proudness and pride to be Scottish, even though I'm German and I
okay.
want to be Scottish? Do I get to
So-
accept that same pride?
You-
If you were
Pretty sure
raised
they
by a
killed him.
Scottish
Wait.
family, I'd say yeah.
But
Okay, what
I'd
about
say yeah. If you
nobody
were raised
has
by a
thought?
Scottish family.
Nobody's
No
thought
one
about
has
this.
thought about this. What if somebody was been living in another country and they don't know any other culture but that one?
Right.
They look. What if somebody just decides to pick up a child?
Well, that's the funny thing you
Decide
said
to
that.
pick up a child, take it to Filipina,
Well, yeah.
and then tell the child, this is your background, this is your family, we are your family, and that
Oh,
background
I
adopts
just
that
had-
cultural background.
I just had a
so
crazy
why do
thought.
we have to accept that? If that's the only cultural background this kid knows?
So yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. I do. Okay, so but we as Americans do that consistently. We bring other
We do,
things
yeah.
here.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's
Thank
what-
you.
yes.
That's what I'm trying
So
to say.
yeah, and so but they're
So who
but they're
are
not
they then?
okay. So they're okay. Say they're Hispanic. They come here from Mexico, and they are raised around white culture, and they say I'm white.
Yeah. And
Or
then what?
are they American?
And then they go to a crisis identity, right? Because society is
But-
presenting this
But
crisis
I think they're
identity to happen.
American. This is my opinion. Yeah, it's not. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I am saying that I'm right. I'm just kidding.
I get it.
No, I'm just saying that, like, okay, so nationality and culture are
different completely than
Yes,
Well,
and so
race, not even culture,
and it
but
comes back
race.
to your
Is their
comment.
reality?
It does come back to your comment, and I love that it comes back to your comment because this may not have been on film, but you said that who sets the standard.
Yes, exactly.
And the
Society.
standard
Society.
Society.
And
is
who
it the
builds
is it society or
Reality. Reality
No,
sets
no,
the
Your
standard.
reality.
No.
Yeah.
or
Your
Reality, period.
the
No.
majority
Nationality
vote in
doesn't set the
Let me just
America?
say, let me just say this.
hard
Everybody is
'cause I
living
don't-
their own reality.
So,
There's
yeah.
not one specific one, and that's science sustaining that.
So
Science
oh.
sustaining that there's many
Oh,
differential
Joe.
realities.
Yeah, like second dimensions and third
Okay.
dimensions,
At one
not
time,
nationality
at one
versus
time,
ethnicity.
I love this because I'm about to just hurt you. I'm just kidding. No, wait, watch. So at one time, slavery was accepted as reality.
That's true.
It
Thank
actually,
you.
It was, and it still is in
So
some countries.
it very well is. So I guess what she's saying is that by
Well, maybe those
accepting
Africans should have said
by
that they were white.
accepting that reality that
You are compliant with
that
it.
No, I'm just saying.
You are
That's a
compliant
good
with
point.
it.
You know,
yeah.
They should have just said, "Hey, I'm white. I'm not even
Oh
black.
God, no.
Therefore, I'm not a slave to you."
no.
In that reality, that would work, right?
I don't
Oh, wow.
know how well that would.
Hey, I'm just saying.
1600s.
That's
Yeah,
the reality that we live in.
yeah.
I love black people.
That's
Don't
still
get me
right,
wrong.
the reality.
No,
you
yeah,
are.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
no, but
that
that's
is
the
our
truth.
reality. Period. You can't make one up.
Yeah.
It is the reality you're accepting to
I-
live in.
I look at it this way: as somebody with blonde hair, blue eyes, if I was raised by Mexicans in Mexico, I would consider myself a Mexican.
I would agree
And
with
thank
you.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's
But you
but
still be white.
is a
So regardless
nationality.
of where-
That's a
But
nationality.
your skin,
Yeah.
skin
And
was
that's
Are you
a
still
nationality. That's the difference.
That
Hispanic?
is not
But in
ethnicity.
reality,
I think that would be. I think that.
Ooh,
Okay.
you choked.
Yeah.
we really see humans traveling through time, we see that we are not settled. Okay, we never settle. We travel throughout the world, and we became who we decided to be. We name names to every one of us, and we are complying with it. We are accepting the society that's thriving us to be, and that is a big problem because we don't have the acceptance. And it's patriotism and religion, the ones that are sustaining it.
So
I'm sorry, but that's reality right there.
I actually completely agree.
Does that mean nationality
separates us? Yes.
Actually depicts your ethnicity?
No, I don't think that does.
Patriotism and religion.
I think that. Wow, I'm sorry.
So you can be transnational.
You can't. There's the point. I was trying to. You said it.
Yeah.
So you can.
Canadians want to do that.
According to our group, you can be transnational, but not transracial.
No, without a green card, you can't.
Well, and to bring up a green card, to me that's personal because we had a 16-year-old Vietnamese girl come to live with us.
Oh my goodness, yes.
You know, that was our favorite waitress at our favorite restaurant.
I'm not saying don't show love.
No. We found out that our favorite waitress at our favorite restaurant was facing homelessness.
Right.
You know, we brought her into our house. Right. She's a Vietnamese girl who's lived here since she was 9 years old.
Well, now that's being American.
She's in her 20s now. Thank you.
Race.
But
well,
you know, my biggest thing is, you know,
hey, there you go.
my biggest thing though is, is that she's gonna get sent back because she's not a citizen yet.
Right.
You know, and if she ever gets sent back, she's been here since she was 9, and she's as American as apple pie.
But see,
right.
what's
You know what I'm
affecting
saying?
her
No
right
matter-
there?
But that's
What is
nationality.
affecting her right
Well,
there?
that's the law. That's laws.
Patriotism. Thank
Yeah,
you.
patriotism.
Thank you.
So we're gonna. It's time to wrap it up. How about some improv music? Can we do that?
I need
You
to
guys
fix
do
my
improv music?
ukulele in bad shape.
What if we had y'all play and she sang?
Yeah.
We had some harmonica
There we go.
from the background.
There we go.
Yeah,
come
Yeah,
on.
would that work?
It sucked.
So
about
they're
that.
gonna play their instruments.
Yes,
Can you ad lib some verbiage?
absolutely.
Awesome.
We can improv.
And we're gonna have a harmonica from the back.
Well,
from
and
the
what
husband.
key is Gio's harmonica in? Because he's got an F harmonica with him.
Oh, this is music lingo I don't know anything about.
That's
Where is
okay.
Harvey when I need him?
Here we are on Whine, no Whine. Doesn't matter, it all turned out fine.
Oh, baby,
Might be a little left to center. It's alright, we put a do not enter sign on the front.
Oh, baby, don't want. Please, baby, don't want.
Well, it doesn't really matter if she's transgender because she's looking so fine because she's a little bit slender and she likes to keep me an apple pie. It doesn't really matter if she's a girl or a guy.
What a show we had tonight! Thank you for tuning in to the Whine Show Artist Edition. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to the regular Whine Show, which is on its 30-something episode.
Let me tune in on that
We're gonna keep singing for another 5 and
matter
then
because
we'll be
we
out.
all can see that she's
I don't know what's going on.
good.
Give me another
She might
glass
be
of wine.
Filipino, but as far as our friend, we don't know. It's all right.
Thank you, Raquel. I'm gonna read your comment.
It was a great time.
Right. Sex is on the rise.